Take two. Hello, our friends, Evolutionary Energy Arts family.
And we're going to try this touchy subject one more time.
Yeah, and we'd hate to think that we were the cause of so many people probably losing their power locally. We were 3/4 done with this video, and then junk. Yeah, all the power went out. And we, along with so many people right now in the central states, are getting hammered with these storms. Strong derecho winds are going to be coming in. There's a tornado, by the way, up in Oklahoma around Bixby that they've seen. Another rough night weather-wise.
So everybody out there who's going through this as well, be safe.
Yeah, have a plan. Be prepared. And so some things never change. And sometimes we need maybe to see how things can be interlinked, intertwined, and how, even though it seems that we may have separate empires, separate countries, separate nations, separate ideologies, maybe there's a little more consistency than we really realize.
I know, we were going to try to connect some dots for you guys.
And some of you might have seen me connect these dots in the past as we look at, a very, very familiar emblem, right? Of course, we have the shield here. We have the eagle, right? Feathers are out. There's a circle with the eagle, with the wings. And, of course, we have 13 arrows, 13 leaves, 13 stars, 13 stripes, all representing the 13 colonies that became the first 13 states. It's interesting, too. Totally different, separate subject for another video. But getting down to Jesus with the 12 apostles makes 13, does it not?
Indeed it does.
But that's going to be another video. Okay, here we're looking at this connection. Oh, wait a minute. Hey, yes, this was Nazi Germany. An eagle. And a circle again. Well, we could also go over a little bit farther back, and we see the great mighty power of Rome with the eagle. And if we continue to use the letters, then it's basically a circle again. Interesting symbology. Maybe there's a predecessor for all these birds and circles. What? Oh, hey, look at that. Oh, yeah. There's circles. There's wings. You could take them as eagle wings. And, of course, this is from Sumeria and Arcadia, also Persia. And we see the Anunnaki. And then we also see the fish guys with their little mani purses.
I know. I mean, there's just so many parallels here for us to look at.
Still want to know what they have. Is it coins for the casino?
You know it.
Some things don't change. And we're going to get to what's going on militarily in the world right now. But do you know, and I've touched on this before, that the United States has been at war for over 90% of its existence? And we have these ancient wars, starting out with the Revolution. And then also all the different Indian wars going on as well. There were so many wars against the Native American people. And other wars as well, like the War of 1812. There's a lot of these you might not even recognize or ever heard of, like the First Barbary War. What? Yeah, American victory, 1801 to 1805, Morocco. The United States back in 2017, I haven't seen any updated info lately, was in, again, over 90% of the countries in the world militarily with military bases or military actions. Look at all this. Now, this is all going back into, olden times, as we see there. Capture of Monterrey. Yes, from Mexico, the Mexican-American War. It just goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Did I say Paraguay? What? Yeah. This is crazy. How many of us are taught about all these wars? And, of course, the more modern ones going on, we're in Libya. You remember that? Yemen for Al-Qaeda, Somalia, different operations like Enduring Freedom. There's nothing better than calling something exactly the opposite of what it is.
I know. It's like how they hide things in plain sight.
The war in northwest Pakistan, the Iraq War, the Afghanistan War, the Second Liberian War. It just goes on and on. The Philippines. Of course, we all know about Korea. We all know about Vietnam. But there's all sorts of other ones, too, that are in there. Back to bombing Libya back in 86. How about Grenada back in 83? How about getting involved in the Lebanese Civil War? It goes on and on. Cambodia, Dominican Republic, an invasion of Dominican Republic. Yes. Do you remember being taught about that? It just doesn't end. But then again, the ties to the past. And when we look into ancient Sumeria and study it, we see that it was a collection of city-states that were at constant war with each other. Each, having its own deity, own temples. And it was thought that at one time the deities resided in their temples. And they would be at the front, leading the charge into war. Interesting how human-like these beings are and how much they show ego and greed and a lust for power. And if we look at the Sumerian kings list, you have some of them ruling for tens of thousands of years. Is this just allegory, or are these something other than Homo sapiens?
We're just not sure. One thing I know for sure, we're not taught this kind of stuff from 3rd grade.
How some things never change. And we see the almost constant warfare among the Sumerian city-states for 2,000 years spurred the development of military technology and technique. And yes, I think this is where we kind of learned it from, and you see Sumerian troops there. It was never ending. And we're going back to 2525 BC. And again, we have hundreds of thousands of these tablets with cuneiform writing on them. And stories in far greater detail, but echoing the biblical stories, as this is the source material from which the biblical stories come.
And this is a lot of the stuff that helped wake me up, too.
Fighting in a phalanx formation, the Sumerian troops. I remember Rome doing that. I remember the Greeks doing that. But yes, Sumeria, this is where everything is learned from in this Western way of doing things. 9 things you may not know about the ancient Sumerians. One of the larger Sumerian cities may have had 80,000 residents. Well, I think that the numbers are actually going to be way higher than what even we're being told here. It's interesting, too, when you go into the Bible and you look at some of the numbers of the troops in the battle, and it doesn't really jive with our thought of how many people were on the earth in those days. It seems like, according to some sources, there is way more people on the earth than what the official sources say.
They keep that from us so carefully, too.
They do, and, getting into that, there's 2 different accounts in Chronicles and Kings of David getting it in his mind to have a census and to count the people. Now, this was after God had said, no matter what you do, you better not count the people. No census for you. And so, one of the versions, Satan puts it in David's in mind to do it, and the other version, it's God, because God is angry with David, so he wants to punish him. And then the punishment, he gets to choose between basically starvation with, poor crops, being taken into captivity, or a plague, and he took the plague, and 50,000 people died in one day.
And yeah, that's really horrible.
Yes. So, very interesting to see their culture, because, we have their culture. This is their culture. This is their civilization. It's still the same way. The list of Sumerian rulers included one woman, by the way. And the Sumerian city-states, as we said, always at war with each other. They were very fond of beer. They would have liked Asheville, North Carolina. Lots of good breweries there. And cuneiform writing was used for over 3,000 years. They were also well-traveled trade merchants. And again, there's this pyramid that we could look at as far as a culture and controlling a culture. And, commerce is one leg, and religion. And then, of course, you could view the constant warfare as another one. Always having a boogeyman, always having an enemy out there, a perceived enemy, or at least let the people perceive that there is an enemy out there. Build up distrust of each other. The hero of the Epic of Gilgamesh was probably a real Sumerian historical figure, but was he a demigod? Was he half Anunnaki, half human? That's the big question. And how does he toss around lions like putty tots?
When I took a look at him, he wasn't very nice.
Yeah, that's what you got when you remote viewed him. Do you want to share?
Well, he's kind of a horrible being. He's very bully-like. He's very ego-centered. He's very, look at me, I'm strong, and look what I can do, and you can't, and just awful.
In other words, he'd fit right in with the rest of the politicians today.
Yeah, he would.
Okay. Sumerian mathematics and measurements are still used today as well. This is where we get the 60 seconds and the 60 minutes. And many think it's because they had 6 fingers and 6 toes on each hand.
Very interesting.
We do have those legends of the giants. And now to jump into some of the stuff that's going on today, with the light of the nonstop warfare that the planet has seen for thousands of years. Now we have Turkey confirming U.S. destroyers are headed for the Black Sea amid Russia-Ukrainian crisis. This is amplifying. The tensions are going up. The military forces in the area is continuing to grow. The guides have said that there's kind of 3 major scenarios. And again, it's not like everything is set in stone. It's not. This is a free will universe. Of course, we can be tricked into using our free will to create a not so good reality.
Right. So we got to be very careful when it comes to our free will.
And one of them was that, yes, there would be a WW3, and they actually said the triggers of it happening right now might be about somewhere around 35%. They were saying 35-40%.
Yep, they do. They definitely are saying that these things are happening, and they can be likely.
And this is again how we have to just keep trying to wake up more people, to get out of the system, to call it for what it is, to not be suckered in. So the buildup is continuing on both sides right now. Both sides are building up. And then, this I thought was interesting because not only is the U.S. Navy going into the Black Sea with some destroyers, they have warships going to India's exclusive economic zone without permission to challenge New Delhi's excessive maritime claims. Our good friend David at DAP 2030, he talks about these times being times in which, warfare will come because countries and leadership is going to be scrambling from, basically trying to keep their people happy enough and supplied enough with the dwindling food reserves, although there's no reason why we couldn't have massive projects underway to build hundreds and thousands and maybe tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of greenhouses with perhaps shatterproof glass, maybe even in a dome's shape, partially submerged to withstand 300-mile-an-hour winds. There's no reason why we couldn't do it, all that type of thing. There's just no will. That's the bottom line. And so, here you see the U.S. Navy going into, India's been an ally, and India's been at odds with China, actually having a little sortie going with sticks and stones, but still, it ended up being fatal. And then here we see Russian-Ukrainian war breaks down as tragedy for people, as usual. And then a chance for the elites of the world. Again, war is super profitable, and it has other uses as well. Meanwhile, we have China threatening Taiwan that their island's military won't stand a chance against China as they keep buzzing them with their fighter jets and talking about Taiwan's secessionist, and we talked about Texas, wanting to secede from the motherland. They haven't been under the motherland, quote unquote, control for 70 years. That's an entire lifespan. Why would they think that they have any right to it? And again, this is the CCP. This is just leadership, because if the people of the world, say the people of Taiwan and the average citizens over in China, if all their leadership just suddenly dissolved and disappeared, maybe they were taken away in a reverse rapture,
Mm-hmm.
do you think they'd be any worse off?
No.
Interesting thoughts. Interesting thoughts. I hope you guys find them interesting. So we want to try to provoke deeper thought and seeing beyond all the usual BS that we see.
Mm-hmm.
So, new Israeli airstrikes reported around Damascus, injuring 4 soldiers. And, here again, this is near the Lebanon-Syrian border with another entity, Israel, just, striking out. And, so often civilians die, and it's just horrible and truly an atrocity that I don't think gets enough notoriety.
No, it doesn't. It's really sad.
Turkish cops now have their own attack helicopters. Why? Let's just put it that way. Why? What are we going to use attack helicopters on civilian populations for?
I know. It is something that makes you go,
That thing looks nasty.
Mm-hmm.
And things to make you go, How about the whole U.S. Space Force thing? Announced the formation of Space Systems Command. And, they do have a multi-billion-dollar budget. And we had gotten that they're going to be rolling out something soon, or relatively soon. There's a very high possibility that you may actually see somebody that's going to be portrayed as being from a different planet.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they have talked about that. They've been talking to me about it here and there, about there being some kind of a disclosure, probably within the next 3 months, it looks like. And it's going to be in the form of, somebody that's obviously not human. It won't appear human. They showed me he's going to be a lot taller than your average human, but it's also for a means to distract people as well.
Yeah, and they might even say that this is a Pleiadian from the Galactic Federation, but don't believe it, is what we're getting. Because, the Galactic Federation still respects human sovereignty, and they're certainly not working with the reptilian forces that have been in control. So again, this is going to be part of that deception that's going on. As I had alluded to, there was 3 different major possibilities that are in play, and that's one of them, that they roll out and do the disclosure thing. But again, it's disclosure with a twist, because they're going to have to let us know, because we will be seeing, the wars of the gods overhead, and they're already underway. So, that there's going to be that twist. They can also do the diversion, which is a horrible diversion of a WW3. Or there could be a new VIRUS type of thing that comes out. These are 3 things, 3 timeline possibilities that the darker forces are considering, depending on how agendas go.
Yeah, so just be safe, get healthy, wake up as many people as possible so we can put out the intent to have a different timeline of how things are going to unfold, because our energy matters.
It sure does. So we could put it out there that, we are envisioning the dark forces losing their grip of power. As the Emerald Tablets talks about, they're going to have a hard time holding their shape and form. They're going to have a hard time maintaining the illusion. So let's see the mirror crack, and let's see the illusion be revealed for what it is, and the world wake up. And people say, I'm not going along with this. No. We're not going to have any more of these worthless wars that go nowhere and just simply lead to just constant suffering and loosh, and also keeping people in a lower vibrational frequency, so that stops the ascension process, which leads to true freedom.
It's so true. That's the thing that they're trying to stop, is our ascension. They're trying to keep as many down here on the slave level as possible, and our energy bodies, they're trying to hold those down using our own will or our own belief systems.
Yes. So thank you guys for being part of the family. Thanks for your support on Ko-Fi and Patreon, because we definitely couldn't do it without you. anybody needs to make an appointment with us, it's evolutionaryenergyarts at Gmail or EEARTS at protonmail.com. As always, guys, God bless and namaste.
Namaste.